What's going on? I'm here to talk about Texas rigged baits. There's nowhere on YouTube that you can find anything on Texas rigging. Nowhere. Like, you can search and search and search. I'm the only person that's ever done this for Texas rigged soft plastics. You know I'm lying, right? You know I'm lying. I know I'm lying. So these are gonna be my top 5, okay? My top 5 summertime soft plastics, Texas rigged, okay? And if you don't know how to Texas rig, it's okay. This video is for babies to seniors. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna teach you how I Texas rig, number 1. Summertime fishing, I like to fish big worms and I like to fish big creature baits. Now, the 5 that I have picked out is what works for me. You can experiment, and first thing I do is I peg my weight. Some people don't, some people do. I like these bobber stoppers right here. I think these are like 6 cents or somewhere. I don't know, I got like a bulk pack for nothing really. So I just like to wet my line down, put that bobber stopper on there real quick. And then depending on how deep you fish, like I fish in the summertime, I fish pretty deep, anywhere from 15 to 25 foot. So I've got a 1/2 ounce tungsten weight that I put on. Sometimes you can go 3/8 if you want, lighten it up a bit. And then I'm using, I think this is a 5/0 Gamakatsu offset shank hook that I'm gonna tie on here. And I really like the offset shank hooks for worms, you know, not creature baits, for worms. And I'll explain why here in a second. But we're having fun, right? You having fun? I am. And it's hot as shit. I got up this morning and I went out probably, I think I was on the water by 6 o'clock. And by 10 o'clock, it was 89 degrees. That's no lie. And I tied just, actually, I don't even know what kind of knot I tied. I think it's called a Crazy Alberto or something. I don't even know. Take your bobber stopper, slide it all the way down, just like that, right? I don't know why, but I just don't like my weight dangling around, like flopping around, like I'm dragging it over something. I don't know. I just like everything compact. The first worm I usually pick up, like if I'm throwing a worm in brush, like during the day or at night, if you night fish, this is another good way to catch them, is gonna be, the Old Monster has been around for a long time. It's like the OG of big worms. So when I Texas rig all my worms, I go in just like this, maybe a 1/4 inch, pop it out, slide it on up there, and then you can just kind of measure on where the worm's gonna go in the plastic. And I usually just put my thumb there. And this is why EWGs come into play. But you don't have to Texpose this. You can just kind of pop it in there like that. And I'm really finicky about my worm being like perfectly straight, because that's just the way I am. So that's a Texas rigged Old Monster right there. How I fish that is I'll throw it in the brush or throw it past the brush and then just kind of drag it through. You can change to a lighter weight. Lighter weight, you're gonna get hung up less. That's a fact. You can Google that. But most of the time, 1/2 ounce. So that's number 1. That's probably my first pick on fishing in the summer, is just dragging a big worm. So for number 2, I like to go with the Berkeley Power Worm, 10 inches, and it's got that power bait smell. I've been fishing this worm forever. This is a 10 inch. The Berkeley's a 10 inch. The Old Monster must be like 12 inches or 11 inches because it's bigger. But as you can tell, it's designed a little bit different. It's kind of flatter. It's got a fatter tail on it. So you never know, fish are finicky sometimes and you can swap them out. So number 3, coming in hot, if it's a really finicky bite, I like to switch to the Zoom Magnum trick worm. This is just a long, fat, straight. It's a trick worm that's obese, pretty much. I always use a bigger offset shank hook, and then I'll rig that the same way, go in about a 1/4 inch, slide it on up there, and then put your thumb to mark it, and then there you have, that's a sexy looking Texas rig worm, especially like at night. You know, a lot of people don't like fishing in the heat, so they fish at night, but this worm has been bit a lot in brush piles and rocky points at night and during the day, actually. So number 4, I'm gonna get into like creature baits. And this is like, and as far as my favorites, it's not in any order. This is why I like using the EWG. I really like the Gamakatsu Finesse, the hybrid worm hooks. I think they work really good. This is a 5/0. These creature baits that I use have a lot of plastic in them. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm a big fan of the Bunny Hog by G-Crack. And I've got a new creature bait that I just started throwing that I had no idea about. I'll get to that in 1 second. Yeah, I'm just chilling in my office right now. I got Sopranos podcast on loop behind me. You don't want to watch me, you can always tune into the podcast. So here's my EWG hybrid worm hook. Like I said, I love these hooks. It's not a really big gap, so it's kind of a hybrid, but hence the name. That's the Bunny Hog. That's the G-Crack Bunny Hog. And what I love about this is these pinchers right here, they're very bulbous and they float. And they wave at the fish. They're like, hello, how are you? Come eat me. Fish really love this freaking bait. And it looks massive, but dude, they chomp it. So again, EWG, just gonna pop that in, 1/4 inch, throw it up on that offset. And with these, you can Texpose it, which is gonna help your hookup ratio a lot better. Go ahead and measure where the hook needs to go in. And then that is the Bunny Hog Texas rig. And it's not too much hook either, because if you get too much hook, you're gonna take away from some of the action. So you really don't need a lot of hook in these. You need enough to where you don't wanna have too small of a hook. You want one that's just right. You don't want one that goes all the way back to the head, or you don't want one that goes in like, you know, right there like a 3/0 or something like that. But I think that's the perfect hook for these creature baits. A lot of plastic in there that you have to get through. So Texas rigged Bunny Hog by G-Crack. So I was snooping around on Brent Ayler's boat, and I've never seen these before. And this is called a man bear pig. Let me just make sure I got that right, because 40% of the time I always get the name right every time. But it's called a man bear pig, and it's by Reaction Innovations. That's the man bear pig. It's got the rib body, it's got the flappers, and it's, dude, like, how big is it? I wanna say it's like 5 inches. What? Yeah, I wanna say it's like 5 inches, 5.5 inches, something like that. And this is a very good finesse presentation to be throwing in brush in 15 to 25. So like I said, man, these fish, they get pressured and they wig out a lot. The thing I like about this is, if you can see, if it'll focus in on me, it has like a little plastic lip right there. It's made just, it's got extra meat on there, so it's not gonna tear as easy as some of the other ones. So this might be, so this hook's gonna be too big. And that's why I brought out the 4/0 hybrid worm hooks. So we're gonna get one of these, pop that mug in there. It's just like Texas rigging every single one that I've already shown you. Mark your position, Texpose it, and that's the man bear pig. And that's gonna be a finesse, like I said, a more finessier presentation on, you know, throwing these baits in brush and whatnot. Anytime I'm throwing in brush, I'm gonna go from 17 to 20 pound test, sunline shooter. Number one, that line is so freaking hard to break. I don't think I need to go over 20, because I think you're good. I might rig us back up. Ooh, I actually like that. I kind of like these hybrid worm hooks for the worms too, because the regular EWG has too much of a gap that you can't Texpose it. That looks pretty good. So maybe bye-bye offset shank, old school hook, hello hybrid EWG. So I really like it. My main rod is a Denali lithium 7.4 medium heavy worm jig rod. And the reel that I like using is a 7.1 to 48, whatever the numbers are. I hate these numbers. 7-1-1. What's the difference in a 7-1-1 and a 7-1-4 or 7-1-3? Is it? I don't think so. Just call it a 7. A 7, a 6, a 5, an 8. Why all the little ratio numbers? So this is a Lose BB1 Pro. I really like this reel. I love the foam grips. Got a great drag on it. Got the little indicator right here. You can set that on whatever size line you're throwing, which is kind of, you know, it's there and it's not taking up any space. And you're like, oh, okay, I've actually got 17 on this one. So I know what line I'm using. There you have it. Texas Rig, soft plastics for summertime. That's my top 5. Go experiment. Everything that I have here is gonna be down below so you can purchase. Links. Go ahead and click on them. Gonna take you right to Tackle Warehouse, of course. If you've never like Texas rigged or dragged in brush, this is like a good beginning step for you to experiment with other baits, like anything big. Always have some finessey stuff too, like the Magnum trick worm. Even though it's a Magnum, it's still finessier. It's not gonna have the vibration that the old Monster does with that tail. But thanks for watching my videos. If you got any questions, name some other videos that you want me to cover. Drop shot, I'm gonna do a wobble head one. I'm gonna do a Carolina rig one too, like different baits I throw in the Carolina rig. Catch me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Until next time, we'll catch you on the flip flop.